You're listening to Small Business Talk with Jerry. Sit in on great conversations with entrepreneurs who risk everything chasing the American dream.
Hello, everybody. We are back with Small Business Talk, and it's Ladies' Day. So let's everybody introduce themselves. I'm Jerry, of course, but that's all you get from me. Let's start with Diane.
I am Diane. I'm Diane Gray. I am a doTERRA wellness advocate and yoga instructor, which everybody's always like, well, what the heck is a doTERRA wellness advocate? Basically, I am someone who gets to help people with their health. My focus is with essential oils, natural living. So I consider myself Diane Gray Essentials. And that is what I am trying to help others do, is to essentially improve their life and find the wellness that they seek on a daily basis.
Awesome. Michelle?
Hi, I'm Michelle Moe. I own Flowers and More in Stewartville, Minnesota. And a lot of people ask me what the more part of the Flowers and More is. So not only do we offer flowers, but we have memorial, we have T-shirts, we have candles, we have essential oils, not comparative to doTERRA, but we do have essential oils, we have diffusers, we have funny off-the-cuff cards that would be more, I would say, R-rated than your regular gift cards. We have some sassy candles. We have a little bit of everything for everyone. We have balloons. We have stuffed animals. We have plants. We have, so many plants. Hard to find plants. So we have a lot that the more covers.
So you have more.
We have more. More than flowers. Absolutely.
Awesome. Glad to have you. And last but not least,
I'm Danielle Schmidt. I have the Dogs and Den in Minnesota as well, and we do primarily boarding, but we have daycare, training, grooming as well, and so we also have a wide range of treats and toys, different types of training material that you can get for your dog to help with behavioral issues, along with a wide range of grooming material as well. So anywhere from sprays to different types of shampoos, conditioners, which are basically designed for your dog's coats, to brushes, toothpaste, ear cleaners. But the daycare and boarding is kind of the most fun of it all. So
well, our dogs go there and they absolutely love you guys.
Aww.
And we like when they come home because they're tired.
Jordan's tired when she gets there.
Yes, Jordan's always tired. Yeah, she's like Eeyore. We always tell her Eeyore. That's well, I really appreciate you guys coming out.
Thanks for the invite.
Yes,
well,
thank you.
you're
We're
welcome.
thrilled to be here.
It's thrilled is a stretch, I think, because we're really
really
not a thing yet, but we're trying. We're ambitious. We're gonna give. We're hopeful.
We're breaking ground.
We're
Jerry.
breaking ground. That's
Yes.
right. We're breaking ground. When Diane and I had talked first to get to set this night up, it was just going to be the two of us. It was just going to be kind of a one-on-one. And then I thought, do you want to invite somebody in? Selfish reasons, to be completely honest, to invite people in, because we have quite a crowd growing that want to do this, which I was happy about, to say the least. I mean, it really, but now all of a sudden, my plan is to release one of these a week. I have over 90 people contacting me, and I was worried about getting people interested to do this, and it's kind of turned out every time I invite someone, it turns, who would like this? And then in comes Michelle, and we get that. So it's like we really need to put on more than one person. And I thought, my goal was, I look at the Joe Rogan Experience. He's the king of podcasts. I thought, well, we'll follow his format, right? And then I realized I'm not Joe Rogan, so maybe that's not such a great thing to do, right? so now I thought more like a round table and get a discussion going. And so just for everyone that's tuning in, this is, I'm assuming, going to be one of our first that we release. But we want to do the ladies' night, if you will, the women in business. In our first episode, we talked about spouses at home, and I made the original error of saying the wives. Quickly corrected myself to saying the spouses, because there really are a lot of ambitious. Well, you want to talk about ambition? Women have ambition. Men men have the drive to get something done. Women have the drive to do things. That's different. I mean, that's a very different attitude. So
I really think what drives women is different, and
absolutely,
and it's much more passion related, and I don't know, what is the other word.
I think passion was a good.
I think it's a great word.
Yeah.
It's a great word. I mean, looking at myself as a guy, you think that you need to provide, you need to work because you have to make money, you have to buy groceries, to pay for the cars, to buy the house, to that raise the kids. And then when you look back on it, it's like we all have the same goals, but how we get there is so different, how we look at it.
I really feel like women think they need to do everything, and that is one little pitfall that we kind of fall into. And whereas, men tend to be a little bit more streamlined or focused or tunnel vision, or they see what they're going for and they work for it. And it's since both my husband and I are in business together, in addition to my own businesses, it's a bit of a challenge.
What's that business? Let's give that a little plug.
My husband and I own Griffin Gray Funeral Home here in Stewartville, and it's a 109-year-old third generation family owned business. And when that phone rings, it doesn't matter if he's been at work all day. He's going back to work.
Back to work.
Yeah.
And so from your point of view, that's being the spouse on that. We actually talked about that as we were doing our sound checks. It's hard as a small business owner when you're at work all day and you put in long hours, you come home and you're just getting ready to sit down for dinner or whatever with the spouse, and the phone rings. And you're the small business owner. You take it. You're not a 9-to-5 W-2 employee. You don't just go, that'll be there tomorrow. You answer it. And not all spouses take that well.
And I guess to play off that, we are kind of in a partnership more so together, because we help each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the call comes in here and it like, hey, Michelle.
Yep. And then I get the call, and it doesn't matter that we don't get days off either. So
right.
I say I, because it is I.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
Yep.
I feel her when she's like, have you seen my husband more than I have? I probably have, actually.
Yes.
Because it's the truth.
Yep. Right, that's small business. You take it home with you. That's how it works. I mean, yours is at home. And you have, when we talk about, at home businesses, it's usually, like doTERRA, right? Mm-hmm. It's usually something similar to that. It's a sales provided type business. Now your at home business.
Services.
Right. I mean, but you've got a heck of a facility.
Yeah.
I mean, buildings, land, fences, structures, and then product besides. I mean, tell us a little bit about what it took to, when we started using you lived right down the street.
Oh gosh, this has been like 13 years in the making.
Yeah.
It took a long time to get where we wanted to be, and we recently bought another 36 acres from our parents.
Okay, so, congratulations.
So I'm hoping to put up another shed so we can have an indoor area, so when it's really hot or really cold or it's raining, just get rid of the mud. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. But it took 13 years of just planning and trying to figure out what's going to be the best route to try to just get going. And
you're not done yet.
And we're not even close. Not even close.
Well, and are you really ever done when you own the business?
I doubt it.
Jerry?
No.
Yeah.
You're never. And Diane, you know that too.
When you have a brick and mortar store, there's always
constantly
something
changing.
You're fixing.
Yeah.
Fixing, yes.
Right, but even you, though, you're constantly growing. You're constantly doing things. You're constantly growing your business. Even though you don't have brick and mortar, you're constantly doing new things. You're constantly having new products and new introductions and all of it.
And studying.
Right. Yes. And learning and educating yourself. And you too.
And that never ends. Yeah, the education never ends.
And we have to close for a couple days out of the week every couple weeks. Sorry. There's a month every couple months that we have to close for continuing education. And people are like, why are you closed? I'm like, because we have to do continuing education. If we don't, we stop learning.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you stop learning, you stop growing.
Yes.
Right.
And it really is the truth of the matter.
And we've had issues where people will get mad that we've left. So like we had a conference in Vegas last weekend, and they're like, "Oh well, I want to bring my dog," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. Well, now it's going to be there." And
Unless your dog plays craps, you're
yeah,
staying
yeah,
home.
yeah. And they're like, "Well, I don't understand why. It's only 2 days." Yep, I understand that, but the conference is 2 days. Well, can't you just do it over the web? I mean, I've had multiple people ask me that, and it's like, what do you learn in person differently than what you learn on the web? I mean, personally, I'm more of a hands-on, so I want to be there. So if I have questions, I can say, "Hey, I have a question," versus just, "Okay, cool. Well, you went over this, and now I'm going to have to backtrack, rewatch it again, and try to find the answer on my own." Versus just saying, "Hey, you've done this for how many years? I just want to pick your brain for like 30 seconds.
Yep.
If I'm paying for an education, I want more than a handbook.
Yep.
Correct.
I mean, that's my. Yep.
How many people have been on a webinar or continuing education or a conference, and you're in the middle of it, and somebody calls, or your husband walks in, or wife, your spouse.
Let's go into that. We can't do that.
Talking hands. Where your spouse walks in the room and they're like, or they're knocking on the door, and I'm like, every time you interrupt me, it takes me half an hour to get back into what I was doing.
Well, and I'm not a big fan of people some days. I mean, like a lot of us.
That's why I work with dogs.
Right. But those same people that want you to learn on the web, they'll be the first one to interrupt you when you're at home trying to learn on the web.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, and we have kids, we have family, there's a million things to distract you. So we do have a little outline, which I don't follow, or don't plan on following very tightly. I just want, it was more of an exercise to just kind of chat about things. But one of the things I do like to ask is, I'm going to start with Danielle on this one. Why are you doing the Dog's Den? How did that start? What spurred that for you guys?
So when I was 4 years old, which is ridiculous, that's like the only memory that I have from being at the house in town. So we lived right actually behind the skate rink growing up for a while. And when I was 4 years old, my parents had my aunt and uncle down from Becker, and they had a litter of Sheltie puppies. And I was like a freaking mother hen. It was just, that's the only thing I did for 4 days when they were there, is just constantly loving on these little babies. And I wanted all of the puppies. I absolutely loved having those 9 little babies right there. And so when I grew, I started getting into 4-H, and it was, I went from obedience to agility to showmanship and to rallies, and I did a little bit of everything. And as I grew, I started getting into IABCA shows. I started getting into AKC, showmanship and agility shows. I started getting into UKC, ARBAs, and it grew. So when I graduated high school in 2007, I actually went to the Canine Institute, and I studied there for 12 weeks on one of their master training classes. And then I wanted to learn, and I wanted to learn how to teach other people's dogs, because I knew how to train my own. I mean, I have working dogs. They want to learn.
Sure.
Okay, well, now you find a Papillon that doesn't give a crap about anything besides just give me treats and tell me I'm pretty. I want to be able to help everybody.
I'm sitting right here.
And so I want to be able to help everybody enjoy their dog as much as I enjoyed mine when I was growing up. And then I went into PetSmart, just try to get my name out there. And then after that, I was only doing evening hours, so I started getting into bathing. And then after I started bathing through PetSmart, I'm like, I actually really enjoy this, because I get to be more hands-on with the dog versus teaching you how to train your dog. I want to love you. I just want to sit and snuggle on you and tell you how pretty you are, and just love you. And that's what always has been my personality. It was easy. Yeah, I mean, when you said, when people tell you when you love what you do, it makes it easy. And sure as hell, it is what it is. I mean, I am so excited to see like some of our daycare dogs that come in. I mean, it just like, like, okay, not to name drop, but like Waffles and Snoopy and Keys and Kirby and Bailey and Piper and Angus, like the ones that come in so often, you get to know them and their personality. It's like having your own dog there after a while, and it's just you love them and you want to and you just
they're part of the family.
And that's it's like when Jordan Duncan come, it's like I know every quirk there is about Duncan. I can tell you, I can be down the driveway and hear a bark, and I'm like, oh, Duncan's all butthurt because Jordan's picking on him. or somebody has a ball and Duncan's pissed because they're coming into space. Like you can tell the differences in just their mannerisms and that was one thing that is just I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn as much as I could about everything dog related. But then after you get into it and you start learning about the dogs themselves and how it's like kids, right? Like everybody tells you don't compare your children because they're all different.
They're all different.
Absolutely. And that's exactly how the dogs are, because I can guarantee you that Jordan is absolutely nothing like Duncan and vice versa.
Right.
So, I mean, you learn their different behaviors and you learn their personalities and what makes them tick, and it's just that much easier to love them.
Yeah,
and that's what makes it fun.
That's awesome. That's great. Michelle, how about you? Where did you? Is this your first business? Let me ask you that.
It's not.
It's not. Okay.
No. So, long story short, my parents were from Clear Lake in Manly, Iowa. And they were beckoned from my grandparents because my grandparents had the opportunity to open, I'm going to make a very long story short, but they had the opportunity to open a hardware store, which back in the day you could name your True Value hardware store under your name. So my maiden name was Perkapile, so they shortened it to Perky's True Value hardware store.
Okay.
So that was my grandparents. They had the opportunity from Clear Lake, Iowa. My dad had went to school for engine repair, and my mom had went to school for floral. She's from Manly. They're from Clear Lake. They got married. They bought a farm. Blah 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 blah. My grandparents said, there's a real need down here for small engine repair. There's a lot of farmers around here. We could really use your help. Marianne, there's no floral stores around here. She is my mom. So they moved down here. My dad started doing all this small engine repair. And then they started doing this all large engine repair because there's nothing for tractors, nothing for lawnmowers. There's just nobody. So he got into that. Mom ran the store with my grandparents. And then she's like, there's nothing for floral. And she grew up in the floral industry. So she was a Depression baby. So she was the youngest of 4. So her sister and her brother all had floral shops. So she grew up in it. She knew it. She went to school for it.
The family owned them.
Yes.
So.
Yep. She went to school for, I can't even think of it. It starts with a B. Botany, horticulture, all this other stuff, and floral. And then she worked for her sister, who had a very successful store in Mason City, Iowa, Johnson Floral, and her brother over in Albert Lee, who had a successful store. And I grew up dethorning roses. Whichever store I was in, I was dethorning roses. I was 5 years old dethorning roses. So this is the industry that I knew, was family-owned businesses, family helping family. And so when we moved here, I was like, there's no floral shops here. What? This is like a big community. What is wrong? And I knew there had been floral shops here. I knew the whole everything. I kind of knew the history of whatever. But so I was raised and born in family-owned businesses, especially floral shops. And we did a business analysis and found that there was a real need. Mm-hmm. And
that's awesome.
That's what I knew. That's what I was. That's what I was raised in. That's what I was passionate about. But worked for a major medical facility for many years, and was very fortunate to do that, and learned a lot of things. And along the way, I learned that it didn't fill me. It didn't fill my soul. It didn't fill my cup.
There you go.
And so my husband for 7 years harped on me and said, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do this. And I said, you don't realize the money it takes. You don't realize the investment it takes. You don't realize the time it takes. You don't realize how much you won't see me.
I say that investment is not just dollars.
Right.
Right. I should probably mention too, not to interrupt your story.
No, that's
but
fine.
With the premise of this podcast is really to help those who haven't done what we've done so far. They're on the fence. And I made the comment of small business wannabes. Makes it sound negative. I don't mean it that way, but I just mean the people that want to get in business. Not that they're posers, not that they're pretending to be. It's just they're on the fence and they want to do this, and they don't know what. I mean, again, they're afraid of the answers they're going to get to their questions, but they don't know they don't even know the questions to ask. And so I really want to share the experiences, the good and the bad. One of the things that Craig and I talked about on the first one was sharing some of the stories of the things you did that at the time you thought, this is the next big thing. And now you look at it 10 years or 20 years or 5 years later going, what was I thinking? So, but to your point, your story, I mean, talk about it takes a village.
It does. And so I was married before, and me and my ex-husband, I said, you know what? Concessions at a fair. That is where money is made. And I know how to do it. I have the outreach. I have everything. And so he and I got into that. I was into it. He was not into it. So all of my PTO, every waking minute that I had, every second that I had was devoted to that. And granted, did we make money? Abso-freaking-lutely we did.
Yeah.
Did I have any time to myself? Nothing.
To go spend it?
Yeah.
I got burnt out is what I did because
Yeah.
every time I had any time off of work, I was working at fairs and small community events and everything else. But that is where I got started at like, oh, that could work. Like, that's a really good thing. But he's like, nah, he just saw the dollars. So I'm like, yeah, but you're not willing to put in the time and the effort and the energy that it takes to do this.
But that's where I'm at.
Well, and this is something that we talk about on this, or we're going to be talking about a lot, I think, is trying to help people recognize the difference between starting a business and starting a job, right?
It's totally different.
It is.
It is.
And now let's okay, so we nix the people that take a job, and let's just talk to small business owners. I'm telling you, a majority of the small business we talk to, they own a job. They don't own a business. Again, the IRS is going to say it's a business. I'm going to look at you and go, it's a job. If you can't take a day off, if you can't get away from it, and I'm not immune to this. I mean, we've all done this. This is if you really want to be successful, and this comes back to your point too, where you said if you love what you do, I mean, what's the adage? If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Yes.
That's bull.
It is.
But it's way better to love what you do than to hate what you do.
Yes.
But here's the deal.
You're not working throughout the day, but at the same time, you still need, I want 4 days a year. That's all I'm asking for is 4 flipping days. Don't I put our away
You're much
messages
more generous
on.
than I am.
Don't call me. Don't send me multiple messages and expect me to respond. I want 4 days because I watch your dog the 361 days out of the rest of the year when you contact me last minute. All I want is 4 days. I want 4 days, and I give you 8-month notice. It's like back when I was working at Mayo. I mean, when you did your PTO, you had to give them a year notice for any time off.
Heather does that too on the daycare, right?
Yeah.
We write the schedule out.
Yeah.
See, now I'm at that point in life where I'd like 4 days a week. I'm not gonna lie. I'm ready for that transition. Well, Diane, how about you? Tell us where it.
How did I do this? I mean, I was.
Why?
Why?
Why? How did it happen, and what made you want to do this?
Well, so it all started. I'm a retired dental hygienist. I'm 50 years old, and I am retired from dental hygiene. I was really good at it. Anna. I was really good at it. I had great personal skills. I have a great tactile dexterity, and I loved my patients. The problem is you burn out. Your body starts to burn out. You mentally become burnt out with office politics or just new documentation, or you spend I felt like I was spending more time documenting and stuff, and I was having less patient care time. And it was really physically draining my body. So I ended up like crashing. I'm like 38 years old, and I ended up with migraines every single night. Mm-hmm. That was just where I was. And I started looking for more natural approaches, and one of those approaches was essential oils, and I just started using them. I had absolutely no intention whatsoever of ever doing a business. I was simply working on my health, and then I decided to do this funny little thing called yoga, and I took yoga teacher training, and I'm still working as a dental hygienist at this time. And so I took this because, I felt better when I was doing yoga, and I had no intention of doing yoga as a business. And then all of a sudden, my sister's like, you should really incorporate essential oils into your yoga business. And I'm like, I want to just see how this yoga business works first, and then maybe I'll think about it. And then all of a sudden, my friends and my family started asking me, well, what are you using for an upset stomach? What are you using when your head hurts? And I'm just like, well, okay. Well, and I had no direction whatsoever when I started with essential oils, and I just fell into it. Now, when you fall into a business and you just are doing it because of the passion, you make a lot of mistakes. And there's a lot of things I'm like, if I had known then what I know now about the business, if I had had an analysis done and done the business background, if I had done training before I decided to start the business, I would have done it entirely different.
All of us would have, though.
All of us,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's, I relate starting a business to like having kids. I mean, for the wife, I mean, when for the mother, when you have that kid, you can't tell me that 2 minutes after you have that kid, you're thinking all the pain you just went through and you're ready, let's do this again.
Oh, hell
right?
no.
That's
No.
right. I mean, but I mean, it's the passion. It's the thing you want to be a mom. Yeah, I wanted to be a dad, Mm-hmm. I think I'm more excited to be a grandpa than I am than I was to be a dad, to be fair.
You can
But,
come back.
yeah, but my point is, with a small business, you don't know how much pain there's going to be. And
No.
when you were younger, when you're ready to have kids, I mean, your kids are young yet. I mean, you're young. So it's like,
I feel young. Tired.
But when you make that decision, for all of us, when we make that decision to have kids, you don't go, oh, this is going to suck. It's like you don't talk about the bad things. You don't talk about how painful it's going to be as a mom. We don't discuss that stuff at all.
Well, and nobody warns you about any of that either. They're like, oh, when you see that little baby for the first time, you're just going to fall in love. And it's like, okay, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you're going to look at that little baby and
But think about how much work we put into our businesses too. I mean, like we're 3 weeks into a new business. With the garage door company, and we've been very fortunate. I mean, Blake is a partner there. He's young. He's not. I told myself I'm not climbing a ladder, so I will get this thing off the ground. But that kid's killing it. He's ambitious. He's moving.
Has it only been 3 weeks?
We've been open 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's been longer than
Yep.
that.
And he's a good kid. So I mean, and I say kid. He's 27 years old, but
well,
that's about half of my age.
Yeah.
That's So, but I tell you, to have that kind of ambition, I'm just like, and my dad always say, if I knew then what I know now. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I heard that growing up.
It's
Yeah.
so true.
100%.
But when you're young,
It's so
you don't.
true.
Yeah, but when you're young, you don't know anything.
yeah.
You don't get it.
But you can't grasp it until
No.
you're there.
Yes.
Right.
You absolutely cannot.
Yep. That's
You
right.
can't even fathom what that
It's
means.
just a phrase at that point. It means
It
nothing
is.
until
Right.
you're there, and then
Yes.
you're like, well, shit, I should have listened
Right.
to that.
Right.
Right.
So I'm going to start with Diane on this question. For everybody listening, that will be listening, however we say that.
They will.
They will.
They are.
They will.
Whoever's
They
They're
are.
currently listening.
Yeah.
Currently listening, right? If you were going to pick a personality type that you would say don't go into business, right?
Oh.
So it's something unique. I mean, it's what's a,
An asshole.
yeah, right. Right. Amen. Craig and I made the comments the other day about like people with anxiety, right? Anxiety is a big deal, but you can overcome that, and you can overcome that with passion. But that is, I'll tell you, that is exactly right. If you can't take care, because when you run a small business, you don't have your guy or your gal to go negotiate deals. That's you, right? You don't have your salesman. That's you.
No, you're the front line for
right.
everything.
There's no one to hide
for everything.
behind.
Do the dishes
Can't
need to be
hide
washed?
behind anybody.
That's you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to talk? Yeah. If you sit, you got that chip on your shoulder. Oh, I'm not doing that. I'll get people for that. I'll tell you what.
Good luck.
Good
No,
luck.
it's
Right.
not gonna work
But
that
you hear
way.
it all the time in small business. You hear that stuff all the time.
You do, but those same people, Jerry, though, don't often think that, okay, so I'm going to get somebody for that. However, it's a small business. So small business is generally what, 100 or under? What is
250?
200. The IRS says 250 or less
Okay.
is a small business. Which
250 or less?
250.
How is that small?
Is that right?
We have 2.
But then you look at the Walmarts, the Oracles, the Home Depots. I mean, these guys are massive companies.
Okay,
but
so
yeah,
I would never classify a small business as 250 or
No.
less.
No.
me neither.
No.
Like never.
No.
So here's me, and we have less than 5 employees, including myself.
Yeah.
So you're saying, oh, the dishes need to be like. I'm just rounding back
Somebody
to
has
what
to
you
clean
said.
your
Somebody
toilet?
has to clean that.
Yeah,
somebody has to
wipe
do
the
that.
toilet,
Somebody
right.
but every single one of those people are the face of your business. So it doesn't matter if you're having a bad day.
No.
Guess what?
Right.
Get on with it. Smile, because I am the face of my business. Everybody who
Every
is
day.
at my business is the face of my business. I don't give 2 cares less if you're having a bad day.
Right.
Because you're representing to all of my clients happiness.
Right.
They don't
Right.
care.
Nope.
Right.
Their loved one just died.
I was going to say, especially in your business. I mean, both
I
of you
mean,
guys. Yeah. Absolutely.
Or you know what? We just celebrated an anniversary, but it was because my husband passed 10 years ago. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you are going through. It's your client.
Right.
Yeah.
And your client.
Yeah.
And your client.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Right.
Everybody has to be their front game and has to be the best that they can be.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if I come to you for flowers because we're having a funeral in my family, I really don't care how bad your day was.
And
I mean, at that point,
it
it's
should
not.
not matter.
And it shouldn't matter
It
at
should
that point.
never reflect
No.
to you.
No.
Ever.
No, that's the hard part. And, it's so, I mean, we've talked about that too with the dogs.
Yeah.
That's, it's a family member, but these dogs need a babysitter just like your kids do.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
can't go on vacation and
Yeah.
leave the dog at home
Right.
for a week.
Yep.
So,
Our dogs are our kids.
Exactly.
Right.
And in most cases, that's what it is. And
Yeah.
and that's why when we had gone through multiple bad experiences, and when I told Cody I wanted to start this, and he asked me why, and I said, because I don't want anybody else to have the same experience that I had at X, Y, and Z. I want them to know that I'm going to treat and love their dogs just as I would if they were my own. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And it just, I mean, you get to the point to where it's like my grandma passed last December, and we inherited her 13-year-old Morkie. She had 6 sons, right, that could have taken this dog but didn't. And so, I told my dad, I said, Addie's already fallen in love with him, so we'll just take him. It is what it is. And when we had people coming and going, and I'm in the shed bawling when my dad calls me and tells me, hey, grandma died. You know, it's like you're trying to put a face on, like,
Right.
hey, my grandma just died, but you have, we're right in the middle of pickup. I'm trying to, pull it together so
Right.
I can be like, hey, your dog had a great day without busting out in tears. And
Right.
in between, it's like you said, it's like you want to just, that's you. And they can sense it as much as, your kids can. Addie
Right.
came down and she kind of looked at me funny when I'm crying. I'm trying to
Yeah.
dry my tears, and I'm like, hey babe, what's up? And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, just doing pickup, and I'm trying to just keep it calm
and pick up their dogs.
and I remember Morgan that she came and she was picking up Bo, and she kind of looks at me and she's like, you just seem off, and I'm like, I'm real, and I just kept apologizing, and then I finally told her, and she goes, I don't know why you're apologizing. She goes, I don't even know why you're down here. You should have closed. And I'm like, I can't, because you're at work, and that's why your dog's here. I said it just, and it's like they're still here. They're living. I said, I'm just grieving, like, okay, well, I lost one, but they're still here. They still need that care. They need that attention. They need that time, and you can't just turn it off.
It's not. I mean, what you do, it's not a store. You can't just, okay, everybody.
Yeah, turn the lights off. Leave. See you Monday.
Yeah.
And the sad part is, those of us that have stores, you can't really do that either.
No,
I mean,
you can't.
You can, but it's like, well, what's the old? I hear it so many. Well, own your own business, come and go as you please. It's like, I can. I can do that, but that
must be nice.
Must be nice. Yeah, let me tell you, that's my favorite term of all time.
No.
Must be nice.
Freaking hate it.
Yeah, it's like, it must be nice. It must be nice to work 70 hours a week. It must be nice to hurt when I get home. It
must be nice for
and
people to be like, oh, you made $500,000 last year. Cool. Do you want to know how much I spent?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's,
It wasn't. It was more than that.
Right. I mean, my degree is in accounting, and when I was young, and I was an accountant, I thought I enjoyed that, but you
I
see
can't
these
see you
folks.
as accountant.
My little cubicle, my stack of papers, and it was over here at the end of the day. It wasn't pretty, but you see these folks, and it's like business, even just people working that are making mad cash. I'm thinking, you see these folks that are bringing in 20, 30, 40 grand a month with a job. I mean, we're in that medical facility or area where that's a thing for a lot of folks, and then they're broke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, okay, living paycheck to paycheck on a $15,000 every other week paycheck, a little different than living paycheck to paycheck on a $1,500 paycheck. Yeah. But if you're doing it, you're still doing it. There's got to be some self-reflecting at some point. And as a small business owner, the nice thing with a job is that it's less stable now than it ever has been, but it is stability. You still plan on going to work tomorrow. You know how much you're going to make. When you have your store, when you have your kennel, you've got some good people and you have some regularity to it now, but you still don't know how much is coming in next week.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, as we get older in business and the business becomes more mature, you quit worrying about the going broke side of things, and you just want to, but it's still a potential. There's always, with the gun shop, every time I turn on the news, I have no idea what's going on in the world right now, because I am so tired of the constant political attacks on my business. And if I watch that and you listen to these people who have no idea what they're talking about,
it'll bring you down. It'll kill you.
Oh, it does. It mentally, it's just defeating, because you're just waiting. It's like they make it sound like tomorrow we're going to sign a bill that's going to put you out of business.
Right.
And it's like, are you kidding me? And I just mentally, I'm not going to put myself through that, because I've got to put that face on every day. You've got to be happy. You've got to be polite. You have to be caring, for your customer and their needs. Yeah. And so, and that's where I love what you do. The fact that you're helping people all the way across the board. I mean, all of us here help people, obviously, but the yoga thing, I love. I mean, and I do like to pick on Diane. I talk about the voodoo juice. That's my the voodoo juice. Yes, the oils. But I'll tell you what, to her credit, a couple of years ago, I was sick as a dog, and Heather's mom comes over. And she was big in the oils. And then Heather and Carrie kind of get into the oils. Well, she comes over, and I don't remember what it was, but I'm sitting on my recliner with a blanket on because I'm freezing to death, and I'm coughing like mad. And I'm coughing to the point that my throat, I'm bleeding because my throat, it's just miserable, and it hurts. It hurt to take cough medicine. She rubs some stuff. She lifts up my blanket and rubs stuff on the bottom of my feet, and I'm like, personal space. Hello. Oh, I'm awake here.
Not a hugger.
Not a hugger. Yeah, not a hugger. I definitely not that. And she just rubs this oil on the bottom of my feet, and I'm like, what on earth are you doing? And she's like, well, you're coughing. She goes, and Heather said that it's really painful. I'm like, yeah, it's been this way for like 3 days. And about 20 minutes later, Heather comes in and she says, you okay? Yeah, I'm just sick. I might be dying, but I'm still breathing. And she's like, well, I haven't heard you cough in a while. I thought I better check on you. And all of a sudden, it's that realization going, damn it. This can't work. This can't really be a thing. Are you kidding me? And yeah, because like I said, it hurt to try and swallow cough medicine. I'd had so many Ludens or whatever the cough drop of the day was that I couldn't even take the smell of it anymore. And I just thought, how absolutely ridiculous. And I don't care if it works or if I thought it worked.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It worked.
Right. Whether it's mind over matter, that is irrelevant. It worked. I was done coughing and my throat had a chance to heal. I was absolutely blown away by it. For me, it was like chiropractic. I did the same thing at chiropractic. My mom believed in it and my dad didn't. And we used to pick on her and I followed suit. Right. And I used to follow suit with my dad and we'd pick on mom. But then after I started going to a chiropractor, it's like, I'm not going to a hospital unless something's falling off. I mean, just bottom line. Yeah, I just so.
P.S. By the way, Ludens, I think you just aged yourself a little bit.
I'm old. Yeah, I embrace it.
I'm old too.
Yeah.
I think we're the oldest ones in here.
Don't they still sell Ludens? Isn't
They
that
do.
a thing?
I think
it's
they
like
do.
it's like
I
chewy
think they
candy.
do. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
but
still
Jerry,
sell it.
you just aged us like a lot.
Yes. I was going to say, you make that face, but you know what I'm talking about.
I absolutely do.
I don't know. I was raised
So
on
much.
blackberry brandy, so
I
Yep.
You got that too.
Yep. When I was little, my mom it wouldn't be very much, but she'd warm up blackberry brandy like a baby bottle with like a double boiler.
Well, that's what the doctors used to tell
Yeah,
them to do.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Hold on,
It was-
back up.
I know,
This
you're
is
a
like-
baby.
No, don't say that. So you boil it. What's the point of boiling it? To boil the
Yeah,
alcohol
I don't understand
out?
that.
I don't either, because they used to tell you actually, in some cases, to do the alcohol to the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the boiling point was.
Well,
I don't
I
know
will say
either.
this, and in my professional medical
Oh,
opinion,
you're professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we
Do
go.
tell, Dr.
Yes.
Jerry.
when now this is what my mom
I
used to
think
tell
we're
me.
digressing.
Yes, we are digressing, but that's what people love to hear. They love to hear the real. Keep it real. When she would warm it like that, and I would drink probably, I don't know how much, like half a shot. It wasn't very much.
It was like a
No.
tablespoon.
Half a table, yeah.
That's
Well,
still
seriously, it was like
a
two.
lot
No,
It was
it
like
is.
for a baby.
it was like
Like
1
a-
or 2 tablespoons
Yes.
when I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah.
when I would do that, I would go and we would do that. The old Vicks Vapor Rub.
Oh,
Talk
yeah.
about aging.
Oh, yes.
Vicks
Yeah.
Vapor
I
Rub.
still do that to my kids.
Yep.
Oh,
And then I would go to
use
bed.
oils.
And by 2 in the morning,
should.
my sheets would be soaked. I would sweat
Sweat it out.
like a madman.
Yeah.
My mom was not around one time. My dad goes in, does the same exact thing, didn't warm it, just
Doesn't warm it.
2 tablespoons of blackberry brandy. I went to bed.
Drunk. You're
And
what?
well, and
did.
little Vicks, went to bed. And when I woke up in the morning, there was no sweating. I didn't feel any different. It was there's something I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
I-
what the difference is, but it
I don't
it
know
was
either.
different.
I'm gonna have to try that for myself next time, but for
Yeah.
like a cup of it, not
Oh.
teaspoons.
Yeah, it's yes. I recommend at least a cup.
As an adult.
I must have had too much of it as a child because I cannot stand the stuff.
Oh, I love it.
Oh.
Okay, well let's jump back on track a little bit, kind of wheel the cart back. Start with Danielle on this one. If you didn't have the dogs den, would you start it today?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Diane,
Yes.
Michelle,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
100%.
Has now for all of you guys discussion. It's not easy. I mean,
No.
bottom line, it's not
No.
easy. It's not easy to start.
100% it is not. It takes grit. It takes determination. It takes long hours. It takes family time away from you. It takes
Who tells you to get out of bed in the morning?
my absolute self.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
You're
drive.
you're only accountable to yourself.
Right.
Right.
I mean, and
100%.
your clients,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you don't.
yourself.
Yes.
That's what you have to answer to.
That's right. So one of my things to add on to the asshole comment, right? Right?
can't believe you got that one out of me.
That's my favorite answer.
That's it. Yeah, right. But if you can't self motivate, you don't belong in business. You
No,
don't belong in small
absolutely
business.
not.
I mean, that's if we're going to
Because
get
there's nobody else that's going to do it for you but you.
No.
no, and if you have a spouse or a parent, maybe when you're younger, if you have to have somebody out there to motivate you to get going, it's not going to work.
Forget it.
It's
No.
not going to work. No, it's not going to work.
No, you have to.
And nobody's
really
going to do
have
it as
that.
good as you.
No.
Or,
Well,
or want it as
No
much
one cares
as you.
about your business
Exactly.
the way you do. I mean,
Right.
Craig and
No.
I, we went through that.
Yeah.
On the first episode. No one cares. No one cares about it like you do.
I mean, we have a gentleman that comes out. Joe is his name. He's there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and he is absolutely. I mean, he is absolutely wonderful. He tries. He loves the dogs, and he loves on them just as much as we do. But there are points on it. This dog's in this wrong kennel. Now I got to move him over, and I got to wash all their crap because you put so and so in so and so's crate.
Sure.
You know, or like you come in and okay, well, how long's the water bucket been empty? You know,
Yep.
did you pick up poop? Like, you know, there's just there's so many different things on it that you have to go back and you're like micromanaging at while you're trying to do your job, and it's like, okay,
Right,
well,
'cause
is it
we're not-
worth
Yeah.
having
Because
this?
we're not big business. We're
Yeah.
not just
No.
we're not just supervisors.
Yeah.
Right? We're not just facilitators. We're workers. We have to work it as well as facilitate it.
And I wouldn't ask him to do anything that I haven't already done or that I don't do myself.
Amen. That is now we're talking about the things that make you a small business owner.
Right.
The things that's it. We shared a story about an old store manager used to talk about cleaning a grease trap in his 3-piece suit.
Yes.
And he said, you know, if I can do that and I've done it, you guys, because you know we're teenagers and we were like, I've got my good jeans on. You know, it's like, but I met Joe, great kid,
Yeah,
great
he's
kid.
wonderful.
Yep. I love him to death. I mean, just
What are
what
you
a-
going to say, Di?
Well,
yeah.
it was kind of an interesting story. So, other than the funeral home, I actually met my husband. He was my boss, and yeah, I ended up marrying him. But anyway, when we weren't dating, and I was a well-respected waitress at the time, and everybody loved me. And then we started dating, and I was all offended because one of the other employees said, "You changed. Ever since you started dating the boss,
Oh.
you changed." And I was just like, and I told my husband this, and he's like, "Well, of course you changed. It's more important
growing.
to you now." And I was like, oh, we're not supposed to stay the same. We're
Yeah.
supposed to
Right.
be evolving in our businesses. And that was such a key revelation for me. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be afraid to change ever again. Not necessarily going to like it,
Right.
but I'm not going to be afraid of it.
And
Right.
and with that change comes your voice, and
Right.
that's one thing that Cody's told me is he's like, you just said okay to everybody for everything for a good 5-6 years because I was afraid if I kept saying
Yep.
no, then okay, well they'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And now it's like we have set hours for a reason, and the only thing that I ask for is 3 hours, one afternoon a week to spend with my family. That's the only thing. It's 3 hours once
Yeah.
a week. That's all I want.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard. Like you said, it's just you care about it more, and you're trying to do more, but then you have to find. Okay, well I'm going to set these boundaries more. I'm going to find my voice, and now I'm going to portray it as, that confidence kind of comes out a little more.
This is how it is.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the hardest things for me in business to really grasp was, like you said, well, if I don't do this, they're going to go somewhere else. And after a while, I mean, not that I'm a bitter old man or anything, but
Really?
well, it's only Monday. let's be fair.
Oh, it is. I keep thinking it's Tuesday.
But I mean, the hardest thing for me to grasp was it's okay to fire customers,
Yes.
right? I mean, you can't get in the habit of it, right? You
No.
can't do it every day. But I tell you, the customer is always right thing that's not right, and you shouldn't teach people that, and you definitely shouldn't. You definitely shouldn't try to uphold that with your employees. Now, you can't have your employees out there. I mean, you got to use common sense. You can't be arguing with
Being
every customer that
a-holes.
walks in the door. Right. You can't be an asshole, period. You can't be that as a business owner, but you can't have that in your employees either. But it is okay for some folks to go somewhere else. You know, I mean, that was very hard for me
Oh,
as a
still
business
is.
owner. Yeah, it
It's
still
a
is.
line
There's
you
times
have
where
to walk.
Yeah.
it is, and as you get older, and you may get a little bitter, you start to waver a little bit, and that line gets a little wider and a little easier to stay on without. But that's a thing. It's hard to tell a customer, I really don't want your business. You don't want my business? Not yours. I want business.
Yeah.
And I would love to have your friends and your family, unless they're just like you. Then, how many shops did you drive by to get to me? Try one out, and try to be as respectful as you can. But it amazes me how many people will stand and complain about something you're doing or something about your business. And then when you ask them to go somewhere else, they don't. And
when you give them the opportunity.
Yep. But some of my best customers have evolved through that situation or they did leave, and then you see them, they have the humility to come back 6 months or a year later or a week later, whatever the case is, and go, I'm back. And some people make a big deal about it, and they want to talk about it, like work through our problems. Like, I'm not your therapist. But then
But you should feel humbled on the same hand by that. They want to talk to you about that.
Absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely right. And then other folks just come back in like nothing ever happened.
Exactly.
And then you let them, because I don't want that conversation either.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. The fact is, because for me, when we've given them the opportunity to go somewhere else and they've taken it, and when they come back, whether they want to talk to me about it or not, I put that so high in my day.
Yeah.
And and I come home with, it just doesn't matter how the rest of the day went. At that point, I can come home and I talk to Heather. I'm just like, so-and-so came back in today. And she's like, so? I'm like, haven't seen him in a year. I mean, like for me, when we're working on cars and in that business, sometimes we only, a great customer for me, I still only see him 3 times a year.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if they're driving something relatively new, if they don't put a lot of miles on.
Yeah.
Right. And especially COVID era, working from home now, people are putting a lot less miles on. I mean, so the cars aren't, they're not coming in as often as they used to. But then, and you kind of think, gosh, I wonder what happened to them. Then when they come in and you look and their car has 4,000 or 5,000 miles on it since the last time you saw them, but it's been a year. And you're like, okay, I'm still their guy. That's great. But yeah, when you lose someone, they want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it, but I do appreciate it. And I do talk about it because that's what they want to do. And and I have so much respect for someone, because my younger self, for sure, if I made a big deal and I said, I'm not coming to you anymore, I'm done, and I go somewhere else, and then I go somewhere else, and then I go somewhere else again, and I'm like, son of a gun, I can't find anybody that does it like Danielle. When I was 30, I still wouldn't have went back to her. I wouldn't have given her that out of spite.
Yes.
I would not have given her that satisfaction, even though it was on me. And these are the things I regret in life. People ask, what do you have for regrets? I don't have any big ones. I have lots and lots and lots of little ones. And that's stuff like that, where now I would be that guy that I would come back and I would tell her why I'm coming back. And I would have that conversation as a client that I don't want to have as an owner.
Right.
But I want her to know that whatever we had going on in the past, I don't ever want to talk about it again. We're going to talk about it right now, and I'm back, and thank you so much for being you and doing what you do for me. But like I said, at 30, I couldn't have done that. I would not have. I'd have never gone back. And there's a lot of that out there, I think.
Yeah. Well, and it's growth, and it's experience, it's knowledge, it's being humbled.
Yeah.
It's all of it.
It's all of it.
It's just all of it.
And it's a thicker skin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though your reaction as a man was, I'm never going there again, I'm not. For a woman, we would be hurt. We would oftentimes hurt or offended. Maybe that's just me, and that's why I gravitate towards other strong, independent people. But there were times, and I'm like, seriously, Di, get over it.
Yep.
They're not thinking about you for 5 seconds after
Right.
they've hurt your feelings.
Right.
And there is a certain level of thick skin you have to develop
You do.
in business.
So I'm going to bring this business thing back around again.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you, Jerry,
Yes.
you're hosting the show.
Yes.
What's the one thing you do in your car business that stands out from every other car business? repair shop that you know of?
Honestly, and this is from my customers' verbiage, not me. This is what I hear.
Perfect.
When you come in, say you go somewhere else,
Yeah.
and I love being a second opinion. Absolutely love it. So you go to the dealer, like you go to another shop, and they give you some outrageous estimate, right? $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and you come to me. We look at it, and we look at it and say, okay, you have this going on, and you have this going on, and unfortunately, you have a little bit going on here, and then something over here. And I go, yeah, how much is that? Well, let's not worry about how much it is just yet. Let's talk about the severity. Let's talk about the safety. Let's talk about functionality, reliability, and then let's prioritize these things. Because let's face it, if your car has over 60,000 miles on it, you bring it in, we look at it, we'll find something wrong.
Right.
I don't have to lie about it. I don't have to pretend there's something wrong. There's something on it that is worn enough to justify talking about repair or replacement. Okay. Now, does that mean that you can't drive that car home because it's not safe? Absolutely not. You drove it here. And the line I use all the time is when people are like, oh my gosh, do I need to do that? Right. I need to get that done. Well, you drove it here, right? I mean, it got here. Now that's not always the case. Some get towed in, of course. But a lot of times it's like, okay, so we'll sit down and we'll take these $3,000 bills and we'll break it down going, for me to be comfortable sending you home, if you want my honest opinion, we need $700 today because we need to do this. Brakes are important, or whatever the case is. But then you prioritize it to the wow, I can't believe you're still driving it with this going on, and then you work your way down to keep an eye on it. I mean, it's not going to last forever. Nothing does, and this is going to be sooner rather than later. But keep an eye on it, and every time it comes in for service, remind me, because I'm going to see, I don't know how many cars between now and the next time you come in. Just remind me that we want to look at control arms. Okay, just tell me, check that front end, because I'm going to make notes in my system. So if you tell me that we need to check, we looked at something last time, as long as you let me know there was something there. If I don't remember, because again, when I was 30, I remembered all that stuff. I did. I don't anymore. So I mean, that's
for that.
Yeah, perfect. That's right. I am up for the voodoo juice. I am all set. So, but that was the thing for me, was prioritizing things and telling people the truth on their car and not making everything seem like it's this drastic need. It's like, and I make the joke too a lot of times, like, listen, they said, I was over here and they said, I'm like, well, listen, I would love to have you write me a big check today. I am not against that at all. However, if you want to take care of the little things today with the big things, we'll do it. You're in charge. I'm not telling you I won't do it. I'm just saying, if we need to, I said, your finances are none of my business, but if time, finance, whatever this is, you're only going to run the car another 2 months and you're going to trade it. You ordered one 6 months ago and you're waiting for it to show up. There's all kinds of reasons why we don't fix this car today or fix it completely. So that's it. At that point, it's like, just be honest with people and don't maximize their minimum problems.
And to you, Danielle. I'm going to throw it to you too, Di.
I forgot the question. Well, it was nice just listening to and that's why when anybody recommends or asks for recommendations, that's the thing, because that's like, you're not going to bullshit me. You're not going to bullshit anybody. So if you're going to come in, you want my honest opinion, then that's,
There's too much legitimate business out there. You don't need to do that. And the people that do it, shame on them. They're lazy. They don't want to work for their money. They don't want to work and introduce themselves to more people.
Yes.
The question is, what do you do that really stands out? What do you do different from the competition? Why should we come see you?
I think my biggest thing is, when we've gone to other places, we were just a number. They didn't know my dog. They didn't know me. They didn't know anything until I said, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I have Riddick, Eppin, and Ica here. And they're like, okay, cool. We take my dogs, and how much do they eat? Are they on any medication? Do they have any allergies? They don't know anything about my dog, And when you come to me, I know what you drive. I know you're there before you even walk in, before you even get out of your car. Like, say, oh, Jordan Duncan are here. They come running in, little Lennon's here. He comes running in, and I open the door, and Carl doesn't even get out of the truck half the time anymore. He just opens the door, he waves, make sure I have him, and in he goes. But like Lennon comes for grooming as well, and usually I'll just say, hey, I have Lennon down next week for face, feet, and fannies. That's will work for you, and yep, sounds good. And I don't even have to ask what he wants anymore. Like I know this dog, you know, and that's what I want. I want to be able to say, you know, okay, well, Jordan's had a few spots that she's had, you know, worked on, and want to keep an eye on it, or she's having issues with her mouth. Why didn't you eat your breakfast this morning? Like, those are the things that I want to focus on. So that way, if there are any issues, hey, Jerry, just wanted to let you know, Jordan didn't do your breakfast, and that's not normal for her.
Right.
You know, Mac didn't eat his breakfast. He's getting older. He had some issues with his teeth. That's not normal for him. Right. Like, I want to be able to that's, I want to know your dog. You know,
you love them. I mean, that's something I told Heather when we first started going there. It's like, you know, I said, she's either really loves these dogs, or she is one heck of an actor. Because I tell you what, and as we got to know you, you're not a very good actor.
Yeah, so. I know. Cody tells me that all the time. He goes, "You're a terrible liar." I know.
But I tell you, it's almost disappointing when she pulls up in the driveway, because the dogs are more excited to see her than me when I come home. I mean, they're always there to meet me at the door, but it's not the same. So, Diane?
But Diane, you not only have doTERRA, though, you offer the most awesome yoga, and I've heard from everybody, and I still have not yet to make it to one of them.
We need to schedule one then, because I would like to try it as well.
Well, I actually, you might be interested. I have a puppies and yoga class coming up.
Oh, gosh. I can bring puppies anytime. You let me know. I'll get a waiver. We'll bring puppies.
A waiver.
Everything in my life, there have been so many times I've said, I'm never doing that. And I have eaten so much crow in my life.
Me
because
too.
Every time I say never, or every time I say I end up doing it. But I'm helping with a fundraiser. And but really what sets me apart when it comes to essential oils, yes, I represent an amazing product and an amazing company. But I bring me. And that's the same person I bring to my yoga class, and it's not about me. I do share stories about what I'm feeling, whether I'm teaching a yoga class or whether I'm doing my essential oils. Not with the purpose of saying, hey, look at me. It's as a purpose of opening up the door that this isn't abnormal for other people to feel this as well. And if I'm not willing to give a little bit of myself, then why would they? Why would they open up their hearts to let me help them? And the number one thing I work with, and I think I texted this one to Jerry, the number one thing people talk to me about is poop.
That's all I thought about when we were talking about the chiropractor. Like, backtracking, I'm like, the only way I could get my kids to poop when they were babies was take them to the chiropractor.
Just, it's literally. And
I mean,
I'm pretty sure this wasn't on the outline.
Probably not. What's life without a little poop? I would love to tell you some of the things that set Michelle apart. It's kind of like take
Perfect.
this around.
All right.
We're
going to let Diane take your spot to
Okay.
talk about you.
So
take it away.
I have one if you don't cover.
Okay, well you're gonna if you don't cover it, you hop in. So Michelle takes the time. You know, like when she's working with, whether it's a family who's doing a wedding or a family who's mourning and celebrating a loss. I don't know if celebrating is not the right word, but it's the last celebration of someone's life.
Right.
She takes the kindness and she has their separate designing area, and she takes the time and she sits down with the families and cares for them. And she not only creates these amazing arrangements that reflect the person that she is helping remember, she really just
You weren't supposed to make her cry.
She's got a heart.
Yeah.
And you know, and sometimes some of these families come in and they're going to get a lot of flowers. And let's be honest, sometimes they're like, I don't need 50 arrangements.
I need to make a note. We have our first crier.
Stop it, Jerry.
But she really, I forgot where I was going with that. But when she will help to say, well, is there something else in here I could guide people to, if that's so? It's almost like, well, not
You
the sounds,
personalize
but
it.
She
So
makes,
more
Yeah.
includes therapy.
yeah,
It
More
more
does.
is it's more.
I bet it does.
It
I
is
bet it does.
more.
It's not just a 20-minute consultation about flowers.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times it's letting them express how they feel and how, we had this beautiful dinner and it was here and it was these foods and this atmosphere and this one singer was here, and I get to sit and I get to hear that, but it's beautiful.
Sure.
And so you're making fun that I'm crying, but it's beautiful because
It is.
I get to hear that, but nobody else does.
Right.
They don't share that with their family. They share it with me. So
That's amazing.
I have I do. I have the most beautiful job. I get to see life coming into the world. I get to see graduations and first communions and
Baptisms.
baptisms and colleges and first homes and weddings. And as much as this sounds morbid to some people, I get to see the most beautiful thing. I get to make their life exit on the earth into heaven the most absolute beautiful thing that it could be. And I am the one that creates that. So I get to see the whole circle of life.
That's absolutely fantastic.
So I think I have the best job ever.
That's very cool. That is very cool.
Completely justified the crying.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Totally.
sorry.
No, don't
No.
apologize.
Yeah, not at all.
This, I don't know if we could come up with a better way of what
Ending?
sets you apart.
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, this is it. And you said that you have a hard time listening to podcasts that are over an hour. We are at an hour and 5 minutes, ladies. So I'm gonna say
I don't cry.
we're gonna wrap this up. Oh, I beg to differ.
I just did. But
Well, it was beautiful, honestly,
Yeah,
and
it
that
was.
I just
thank you for having me.
Well, I really appreciate you guys making the time. I'm not gonna lie, we're not done here. That's the great part. Is the sad part's that we're at an hour and 6 minutes. We're not big on editing because we like to keep it raw. We like to keep it real. The crying stays, for the record.
Thanks, Jer.
Yes, ma'am.
I made you cry.
You did. Thanks, Di.
So we have Danielle with the Dog's Den. We have Diane with doTERRA, essential oils, wellness, yoga.
Yep.
Right. We have Michelle with Flowers and More here in Stewartville.
And way more.
And way more.
And
Yeah, way more.
Way more.
Right. So if anybody needs flowers, tears, dog grooming, essential
Thanks,
oils,
Jerry.
this was a lot of fun tonight. I really appreciate you guys coming out, but I really mean that. I don't think we're done. I think we have so much more that we could talk about. Would you guys be interested in doing this again sometime?
Love to.
Absolutely.
Okay. It wasn't so scary. Wasn't terrible.
No.
Yes.
The intro was a little intimidating, not gonna lie.
But now we're here and all's well. All right. So we'll do this again sometime, and we'll hit some other questions and just chat a little more about the struggles along with the.
I'd love to get into the grit of
Yes.
the business.
Yes.
Please.
Yes. Yes. I was. That's kind of how I envisioned tonight going, and then it just didn't.
We're
It
women.
just-
We got sidetracked. I
but
mean,
it was fun. We had but it was great
It was.
information.
I loved it.
Yeah. So cool. Well, everybody, again, we know who is here. We're gonna. If you need to get in touch with any of these ladies, drop something in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. We'd sure appreciate that. Share it with your friends, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great night. Anybody want to say any parting?
Have a fantastic
Thank
night.
you.
yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
It was great, Jerry.
Awesome. See you guys.